With week 12 in the books, let's take a look at last week's movers here in our over-under report. Coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. We are going to take a look at last week's adds and drops candidates for week 12 in the basketball fantasy season. Of course, before we get into the report here, we encourage you guys to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned to the channel here as well, because we will be giving away a really cool Anthony Edwards PSA 9 slab to one of our subscribers once we hit 1,000 subscriber mark. Let's jump into this week's report. We're going to start with 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center that you should be considering dropping from your teams, potentially. Starting in Dallas, we have Tim Hardaway Jr., 58% owned, 35 minutes per game last week, 16.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists, and 3.8 three-pointers made. 43% from the field, 88% from the line. Now, this one's a little bit tricky. All of my drop candidates there's some argument as to why you should be hanging on to them as well. But we're putting him in the cautionary kind of category here. Christian Wood is entrenched as the number 2 option in Dallas, which makes Hardaway basically a 3-point specialist, which is very difficult sometimes to be able to roster on a team. Right now, at 43% field goal percentage for the week, we can handle that on a team, but that's a dangerous player to own if his field goal percentage drops below 40, which is entirely possible with a player like this. Because he doesn't really offer a whole lot of supporting stats. So keep that in mind here. If he does hit a slump, he would be an automatic drop on, in my books. Right now, he's fringe for a drop in here off my team. Up next, we have Cole Anthony in Orlando, 57% owned, 27 minutes per game, 8.7 points, 4.7 rebounds, 4.3 assists on 35% shooting from the field, 89% from the line. Anthony's playing similar minutes to Markelle Fultz, just has a little less impact. So I'm guessing now that Suggs is playing again here and he's getting up to speed, Cole Anthony stands to lose minutes first, and therefore will also see a drop in his production. So I have a feeling that if Suggs gets better, Cole Anthony is going to drop below that 50% tag for ownership. Coming up next in Detroit, we have Saddiq Bey, 66% owned in leagues here, 28 minutes per game last week, 9.5 points, 3.3 rebounds, 1.0 assists, 1.5 steals, and 35% shooting from the field, 83% from the line. Sub 40 again for the week here for shooting. His last game, he was 1 for 4, 2 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block in 29 minutes as a fill-in starter with Jaren Duran out. So I don't think he's worth rostering here. I think his 66 percentage is way too high. He's way too inconsistent as a shooter, and he's giving us too many empty stat lines. So pass from my end here. If you guys want to pick him up, do it at your own risk. But I don't think he's deserving to be on many fantasy teams at this point. Another one that you should be weary about here if you own him, Benedict Mathurin, 72% owned in Yahoo leagues. I've got him for 26 minutes per game here last week. 15.8 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1 steal, 42% from the field, 83% from the line. I kind of feel about him similar to what I feel about Hardaway, except for Hardaway is more of a 3-point shooter. He's becoming a drag in field goal percentage. He's 41.8% on the season, where he started off pretty well. He's definitely dipped from his peak when he started the season here. He's a volume shooter off the bench. He's not offering a whole lot else here for supporting stats. So you got to be careful with a player like this. If you're struggling with field goal percentage, it might be time to move on from Benedict Mathurin. And last but not least here on our drop list, one that kind of pains me to put on the list here because we've had very good success with a player like this. Al Horford, currently owned in 75% of leagues here, 26 minutes per game last week, 4.7 points, 7.0 rebounds, 1.7 assists, and 38% shooting from the field, 50% from the line. Still getting some minutes on that Boston team, but those minutes are going to start to dwindle as Robert Williams starts to get more and more comfortable on the court here. And if you look at Horford's last 11 games, he's only had hit double-digit scoring in 2 of those. Now, of course, a lot of that is the usage from Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, but you can't go around having a center making 5 points per game, as a true option on a fantasy team. If I saw a team with Al Horford as a starting center, I would almost feel like I'm going to be coasting for that week. So yeah, if you're holding on to Al Horford, just be careful. It's going to be a bit of a rough go here between now and the end of the season in my books. Okay, jumping over to some players you should be looking at picking up, and we've got some really good candidates here. Bones Highland's going to start us off here. 50% owned, 19 minutes per game, 15.7 points, 3.7 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 3 3-pointers made, and 55% from the field, 80% from the line. The reason why I pick him over like a Tim Hardaway or even a Sadiq Bey or Benedict Mathurin is Bones Highland is on a shooting tear right now. And he's more of a capable playmaker than those 3 here. He does get point guard minutes, so that 1.7 assists is not something that I would bank on. I would see him closer to 3 or 4 on the regular basis here. I think he had a game a couple weeks ago where he had 11. So he's certainly going to be able to help you out in that category a lot more than what showed here for last week. So if you're on the fence with Bones Highland, I think he's a pretty safe pickup for you here. I imagine he's not going to get a whole lot more minutes than the 19 that he's getting. He might top out around 24, 25 if there's no injuries in the starting lineup. But if there is guys taking days off, expect Bones Highland to soak up a lot of those extra minutes. Up next in Lakerland, we have Dennis Schroeder. 46% owned, 38 minutes per game, 23.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1 steal, 53% shooting from the field, 87 from the line. Now, of course, these minutes are being played without Anthony Davis, so there's a lot more usage going Dennis Schroeder's way. LeBron, of course, has to pass to somebody on his team here, and Schroeder happens to be the benefit. Him with Bryant are the main beneficiaries, I should say, with 80 out. He is a secondary ball handler, Dennis Schroeder is, to LeBron, so that's going to limit his assist totals. But if you can find a guy who's scoring 24 points a game on the wire, I would strongly recommend getting him on your team. Up next in Charlotte, we got Jalen McDaniels, 48% owned, 31 minutes per game, 13.5 points, 7.3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 2 steals, 1.3 blocks on 47% shooting from the field, 85% shooting from the line. Kelly Oubre Jr. is injured. Gordon Hayward is inefficient and now missed a few games. So that opens up an opportunity for Jalen to put up some pretty solid numbers. He's actually putting up some Jaden McDaniel numbers here of late, and Jaden's owned in 65% of leagues. So if Jalen can cement some extra playing time now that he's actually getting some minutes, and I think he deserves definitely an uptick in minutes here on that team. I would imagine that his own ownership tag percentage will start to creep up closer to that Jaden McDaniel number at 65%. I believe that would be a realistic number to expect out of Jalen if he can continue on this trend. Najee Marshall is going to be next here in New Orleans, 44% owned, 30 minutes per game, 18.3 points, 5.8 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 1.5 steals, 47% from the field, 72% from the line. Zion's injury has thrust Najee into the starting lineup there in New Orleans, and he's responding really well. He's actually averaging 35 minutes in the starting lineup. He had, I think, his first game of the week. He wasn't starting there. Zion hadn't been hurt yet. And the steals, of course, the 1.5 steals has been a welcome bonus. I think he had 3 steals in each of the last 2 games here. So I would say run with Najee until Zion or Brandon Ingram returns, and we see how the lineup shakes up at that point here. If Najee's minutes drop below 20, say, per game, then he would be a drop candidate. But for now, ride him while he's hot. And last but not least, we got Daniel Gafford, 41% owned in Yahoo leagues, 27 minutes per game last week, 13 points, 10.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 73% from the field, 44% from the line. Daniel Gafford is not benefiting from an injury in the lineup that's thrusting him to the starting role. This is just all sheer hustle and quality of play that's giving Gafford some extra minutes, which bodes really well for his ceiling and his ability to stick into the starting lineup here for Washington. So right now with Gafford, he's a potential double-double threat. Low end for points, of course. A couple of blocks you can expect from him over the course of a game, especially with the extra minutes. And he's also playing alongside Porzingis, which gives Gafford as well a nice floor to give you expectations where you can get for a week here for his stats. So if he's out there, I would seriously consider giving him a shot, especially if you need some stats here for centers. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this here. If you do, please do leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. But that's going to do it now. For now, we will sign off and see you guys on our next episode.